Do you have a lawn? Do you occasionally mow that lawn? How often? Be honest. Once a week? Twice a week? Once every other week? Once a month? If you have a lawn, or if you've walked through a grassy area such as a park, or a grassy environment like this, you've probably encountered, or at the very least, walked right by without noticing a very inconspicuous little mushroom. These are incredibly, incredibly common mushrooms. You can hear people all around me mowing here. It's a really good day to mow. We're outside to show you these guys. Right here. These are an incredibly common species, as I just said, called the mower's mushroom, or the haymaker's mushroom. And they grow on lawns, or grassy areas, or fields. I thought I saw more. I could have sworn that I've seen more. Did I not go for? Oh, I almost stepped right on them. They're right here. See, that's how easy it is to overlook these guys. They're actually really pretty little mushrooms. The species of these mushrooms is Panaeolus foenisecii. And you've probably heard the genus Panaeolus before. These are very closely related to a psilocybin active species called Panaeolus. I can't remember the species name, so I will put that up right now. Unfortunately for people who are hoping, these are not psilocybin active mushrooms. These are just beautiful little tiny brown mushrooms that you can find growing in your yard. Let's go take these into the shed and take a closer look at them, shall we? Now that we're out in the shed, it's a little more quiet in here. Let me cut the ends of these off so that there's not a whole bunch of dirt to kind of get in our way. But yes, these are a very widespread and very common species of mushroom. These grow pretty much everywhere there is a grassy area, especially, like, you'll especially see these pop up, you know, after a rain, for one, because mushrooms need a lot of humidity and a lot of water to grow, initiate fruiting. But also, they grow especially well right after, like a few days after a lawn has been mowed. These actually grow off of the decomposing grass leaves, grass blades that are produced from mowing your lawn. So these are strictly decomposers. These do not form symbiotic relationships with really any plant that I'm aware of. And while they're not an edible species, they're not a psychoactive species, they are still a very, very pretty little mushroom that you can go out and find just to get a little more familiarized with different fungi that grow in the areas that you live. And as I've said before, this is a very common, a very widespread species. Chances are you've either seen these before or you've at least walked right by them. They're that common. Now these grow pretty much from the time that it stops being winter up until the time that it starts being winter. So you can find these basically all spring, all summer, and most of fall, just because they don't really care too much about the seasons. All they really care about are the outside temperatures that are influencing the fruit patterns of this species. Let me turn off this one light that keeps blinking because the power supply is getting bad. Now this species also has another common name that is called the mottled gill. So let me clip off the stalk of this one, and let's go look at this underneath the microscope and see what the gills look like up close. Here we go. This is a pretty good shot right here. Let me turn off the flash so that it doesn't keep glaring right here. You can see that the gills are attached to the stipe here, which is a very good indicator that this is the species that we are dealing with, that we're talking about. And you can't really see all that great here, which might be because this is actually a pretty fresh specimen. But The gills on older specimens of this variety are like a polka dotted mottled pattern. That's why they are called mottled gills. Let's do a cross section of that. Let's cut that cap in half and see what it looks like, a cross section. There we go. There's a pretty good shot of the gills. You see all these little speckles that are present in all of the gills. Those are actually the spores of the fruit body forming. I guess you can see back here too, but this is really nice up here to see. But all those little speckles are pockets of spores that are forming in the gills because, you know, as you know, the gills for gilled mushrooms, at least like these, this is the fertile surface of the fruit body, and this is where the reproductive spores are produced to, you know, be put off so that it can propagate the species and carry on its genes through spore dispersion. Now, as I said earlier, these are not psilocybin active. These are not a psilocybin active species. So a lot of people do confuse these for the psilocybin active species, which is in the same genus. It's just a different species name. If you're just beginning to get into mushrooms and mycology and fungi in general, even though you can't eat these, I don't think they're toxic or anything like that. Or at least they're not like deadly toxic. It's still nice just to go out and just walk around and see what you can find, and just try to use that to learn how to better identify different species of fungi. So yeah, Panaeolus foenisecii, Mower's mushroom. Very pretty, very common, relatively easy to find, and very distinguishable little mushroom that you can find right out in your own front yard, or your neighbor's front yard, or your local park.